Welcome to the Legacy and Light podcast, where we are creating a culture of community by sharing stories of what God has done. I'm Allie Maddox, your host for today's episode. I know we took a little break for the summer, but we are back in full swing, as is everything else in this church. We are going for it. And so we have a really awesome guest today that probably doesn't understand how near and dear she is to me as I was becoming a mother, but we have Miss Cara Garner. So thank you.
Thanks for having me.
So you probably, I don't know if you know this, but when I was becoming a mom and putting Millie in KDO, I had all of the questions because I knew nothing about babies and what to do. And you were so kind of like, hey, like some people will send their bottles like this or they'll send their milk like this. I'm like, okay, thank you. Awesome. I appreciate it so much. So just your kindness and making me feel like not just completely like a fish out of water was so nice.
For sure.
So thank you for that.
Good. You're welcome.
My world. And I'm sure that there are lots of moms that feel the exact same
remember
way.
feeling that way as a mom. I was like, oh, I don't just send the whole thing of formula to,
like
to daycare.
You're like, no, some people
I had no clue.
Portion it out. I'm like, okay, good. Yes.
Yeah. Right. I know, it's those little
weird.
tips that like people don't really tell you.
It's so helpful.
so
helpful. So tell us a little bit about you and where would we most likely see you throughout the church?
Well, right now we're gearing up for a new session of KDO. So we start in like a couple of weeks at Kids Day Out, and I'm a co-director there. I work with Mary Kay Baker, who's amazing. And anyways, we just have an amazing team of ladies coming. We have like 35 teachers coming.
Wow.
We have 135 kids coming. And we'll do our little Tuesday, Thursday jam that we do.
Yeah.
It's just like bring them in and let's have fun and teach them about Jesus. And so that's what we do. So that's what I do. Like it's my job here. And then on Wednesday nights, I've been working with the student ministry, just being a mom or a parent up there.
Yeah.
An adult. So it's amazing because I really don't have to do much, but we get to I get to meet the kids and worship with them and just kind of be there for any questions or anything. So it's been really cool getting to know all of them. I actually went to camp with them this year.
Oh, fun.
This summer. Yeah. And so that was so much fun. I got to be with the 8th grade. They're now 9th graders, girls, and they were just amazing and really gave me just a lot of hope for our coming generations because they are super on fire for Jesus. So
I love that. Yeah. I feel like I've seen you a lot in like a more preschool and kids capacity because probably where your kids had been and now entering in youth group stuff.
Yes.
Does that just feel a little bit different?
It does, but it's, I'm growing with Kate, really, my daughter, who's 13 and in 8th grade. So really it's just been like started in preschool with her. Whenever I started a long time ago, I started by volunteering in Awana. And I think she was in Puggles. And I got to work with the 4-year-olds. And I loved 4-year-olds. I was like, these kids are fun, because my daughter was 2 and like not really communicating.
Older,
and like 4-year-olds came in and I could have a conversation with them and they'd tell me about their day.
They can go potty by themselves for the most part.
Yes, exactly. Didn't have to change diapers. So, I was doing that. And then anyways, I was with the Awana for a while and then I was in MOPS and then I was substituting at KDO. I guess I started doing that like 10 years ago.
Wow.
I was like the Awana, what do we call it? Like the Cubbies commander, I guess, or whatever. I was in charge of Cubbies Wednesday nights, Cubbies and Puggles. And then
cutest little names, by the way.
I know. And I love the little platypus. He's the Puggle. It's like a baby platypus.
Is that what it actually is called? Like
a
Puggle is a baby?
Yeah, I think it's like a cutesy name for
okay.
it. Yeah, I don't know that's like the scientific name.
Like sheep and lamb or something, right? Like we were talking about that last night.
Yes, yeah. So whenever we kind of we came in to church here, we had the kids and we were coming to church and I was like, well, I want to get involved. And honestly, I was friends with Amy Moore. She's how I'm here at Southcrest because we were friends before. And we met like in our 20s and she was like, y'all should come to Southcrest. And we were like, okay, sure. And we were trying some different churches because Charlie and I were pretty newly married. And then we had Kate already whenever we were trying some churches. And Kate went to daycare at Hope Lutheran. So we tried that, So, I grew up Methodist and he grew up kind of going to Baptist. So we were like, okay, we'll just try all the things. Anyways, we ended up here at Southcrest. And Kristen McNamee is the one. She was like, you should do Awana and you should do this because she's like super involved. And so, anyways, I got involved and just really found that I was like, this is what I was missing is this community of just being with adults because I had 2 little kids, which is very lonely at times. I was working at home, or not working at home. I was at home and not working.
Mhm.
Just really finding that community, like with other women who are going through the same life stages you was so important to me. So,
Yeah.
and I always say, I'm going to cry. Like I always say, like, Mom saved my life. So, because it was just really, lonely and sad some days. And just getting to be with those moms that just were like, it's okay that you feel like that. It's okay that not every day is happy and that you don't love being a stay-at-home mom every day. That was just really life-giving. So
Yeah.
that is where my heart is, to let other moms know that it's always okay, like, not love being a mom some days.
Mhm.
And that's I know that can come across as maybe harsh sometimes, but I feel like nobody really warned me about that.
Mhm.
And so, it's almost like that's just like that's what I want to give other people. So, anyway.
Yeah. No, I love that. I love
Yeah.
that so much because it's true. It's tough because the pendulum will swing both ways a lot. Either if we talk about the hard stuff too much, it's like, well, we're not giving the life of like the blessing that it could be. But then if we only talk about like the good parts of it, it's like, well,
Right.
now we have like this hard part that's kept in the dark and you feel very isolated and alone. And so it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know which way. And so having people that are in your community that are okay with talking about both, you know?
Yes,
And it's like,
exactly.
because it almost feels like when you become a mom, you're supposed to just get it.
Right,
And
yeah.
it's like, and
Like,
you know, and so I really enjoyed the stories of like moms that like, even like whenever they had their babies, like physically had their baby, they were like almost like in shock of it. It wasn't this super immediate, I will do anything for you. Blah, blah, blah.
right, yes.
Because I didn't feel that. And so then I felt, well, am I broken? Am I wrong? Like
Right.
why doesn't my brain have this? And I remember asking David, when am I going to love her? And I just meant it in that way of like,
Mhm.
she just yells and screams at me and I don't know anybody else that's going through this right now,
Mhm.
you know? And so finding people that can help you walk through that so that you don't, like, you're not crazy. It is hard. Hormones are a real thing,
Yes.
you know? And it's
Right.
like, we don't have to just have it all figured out immediately, even though it feels like you're supposed to. So I really appreciate that from you of
Mhm.
like, taking what was really hard and being like, okay, I'm going to use this for the good. I'm
Yeah.
going to help people walk through these really hard times
For sure.
so that they don't feel as isolated and alone as you probably did.
Yeah.
Back then. So
Because
I
the
think that's
reward is so
awesome.
great.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, like, and that's really like this whole life. It's like we have to go through those hard times and like because then at the end or as you continue to go through life, there's so many good things that come out of that and out of overcoming, that loneliness or just hardship, and really and what was also great about being here, of course, is that the backbone is Jesus, right?
Mhm.
Like our whole foundation is that we have our faith and we are learning how to really lean into giving over that control and really listening to our Father and how He wants us to shepherd these children and shepherd our flock here at the church. So, like,
Yeah, I love that. I love it so much.
being here. So,
Yeah. Well, we love you here.
thanks.
Well appreciated.
Yeah. Good.
So yeah, okay, so let's go back all the way back to the
Uh-huh.
beginning of your childhood. Did you grow up in a Christian home? Did you not?
Mhm.
How was your journey to finding God?
Okay, so I did grow up in a Christian home. I was thinking about this, and I was like, I just remember like my very first memory of really like knowing who Jesus was. And I don't know, I maybe was like 5 or 6 years old. And I remember I grew up in a very small town, Clyde, America.
They have a Tesla charger now.
Yes, they do.
That's
They
the
have
only
a
reason I
Tesla
know
charger.
that it exists is because we stopped there.
They've always been a really good stop. That used to be the number 1 Dairy Queen in the country.
Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah. So it's a really good like pit stop area because it's on the way to Dallas and all
Yeah.
that. So anyway, so I remember like being at church and I grew up in the Methodist church. And I remember my teacher's name, Miss Mumsey. And we were all like out on the
Same.
back. I know she was amazing. And of what I remember as a 5-year-old, but I do have a memory of this. And I just remember sitting on the back porch of our little kids area, and we were just singing Jesus Loves Me. But, like we were signing, and it was like, I think it clicked that we were signing the nails in his hands and what he did. So, that's why I'm so like, kids get it. Little kids get it, and that's why I have such a passion for like preschool and just small children, because they just absorb so much and really understand. So anyways, I remember that. Of course, in different denominations, they do like baptism's a little different.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was, my parents had me baptized as a baby,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, but I remember going to church camp in 4th grade and coming back and telling my mom, I want to get baptized. She's like, well, you've already been baptized.
She's like,
right. And she grew up Catholic. So there's lots of generational like things going on here. But anyways, so we spoke to our pastor then, our preacher, and he was like, well, she's choosing. So she needs to be baptized if she is choosing this. So I was very thankful to him to kind of push my mom into that. So I was baptized then. Of course, in the Methodist church, I was sprinkled.
Right.
Right. I'll just go ahead and tell my 3rd baptism story because it was here at Southcrest. So because we were becoming members here and I had not been immersed. And so I got baptized again. So I was like 3 times. Anyways, I just think it's a funny, it's just a funny story. But in all of that, I mean, each time that it happened, or that I remember, when I was in 4th grade, and now it was like, okay, yes, I'm choosing to follow Jesus and live my life. So that others know that I'm following Jesus. So I was baptized in 4th grade, and I just knew, that feeling of just an overcoming of the Holy Spirit. Like even right now, whenever we go to church on Sunday and we go to the venue and hear y'all sing, it's that same feeling. I'm like, I don't know how people don't believe that there's a Jesus and a God. Because like the feeling, like that overwhelmness of the Holy Spirit is just amazing. So anyways, thank you for always just providing that. Amazing. You're using your God-given talent to like help people feel that and just grow closer to God. So anyways, just going forward, like just grew up going to church.
Mm-hmm.
And in a small town, you go to all the churches, on Wednesday night, you do the little rotation. And then graduate, go to college, and stop going to church.
Did you go to tech?
I did.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, I went to tech. And just really, mainly, I think just because I was like meeting people everywhere and just kind of just going through the motions of being in college and not necessarily making it a priority to find a church home here.
Mm-hmm.
And so really, I'll say, I mean, like, it was 12 years where I was not going to church on Sundays or Wednesdays or having a prayer life or really anything. I was always like, yeah, I'm a Christian. Like, I believe in God. Like that belief never went away, but I obviously wasn't living my life to show that.
Mm.
So fast forward to Charlie and I got married. I'm very thankful we had people in our life that like, where we went through like marriage counseling with our or pre-marriage counseling with the pastor that was marrying us.
Mm-hmm.
So, that, I think for both of us, yes, we were both Christians, but we were like, okay, we probably should get our life together a little bit. Like, we should probably like make this more of a priority because our marriage probably will not last if we don't, really in my opinion of our marriage. And we had Kate. And then Kate was about a year and she had to have ear tubes. And I remember being so like upset about it and calling Charlie. And he's like, well, I have to have open heart surgery. And I was like, what? So like he grew up, like we knew he has this congenital heart defect, but he'd always been told he'd be like an old man before he had to have surgery to correct anything. So here we were, 30, with our 1-year-old who was sick all the time.
Goodness.
And he's like, yeah, we've got to go to Dallas and get a cardiac MRI and talk to the surgeon. So we just go and do all this. And like a month later, he has this open heart surgery.
Oh my word.
So, yeah. And so again, Amy Moore was a very good friend of mine, and her dad, Danny Henderson, is a pastor here. And so we're there in the pre-op room before he goes back. And so because it was a congenital heart defect, he was at a children's hospital. So here's this 30-year-old, 6-foot-tall man with all these. And so we had to get special permission to have more than 2 people go back in the pre-op room because it was me and his mom and dad. I'm like, well, I am the wife. They made me a special little tag that said wife, not just mom and dad. So we're there. And he's like getting all the things ready to go back. And the doors open and there's Danny Henderson. And I was just like, what are you doing here? And so he was like, well, I just came to pray with you. And I was like, literally in that moment, I was like, okay, God, we're going to go to Southcrest. Okay. Like, I hear you. So Danny had traveled to Dallas for the day to pray with us and sit with us while we waited. And it was amazing. Well, Charlie was really, we were in Dallas for like 3 or 4 weeks after that. So, or he was, and anyways, there was lots of going back and forth. But then he was home maybe a week after that. And I was actually out of town. I don't know why I thought it was a good idea to go on a girls' trip after a month of him, after his heart surgery, but it was fine.
I needed some stress relief.
Right? Yeah. So anyways, I was in San Antonio and he was here, and he had gone to a gathering at a company here that he used to work at. And then like in the early morning hours, he called me while I was in San Antonio, and his best friend had an accident and died. So so I got on the next plane home and came back, and really that was it was such a weird time because I was like, we just went through the hardest thing. I thought that was going to be the hardest thing. Mm-hmm. And of course, this was way harder. So losing somebody, close to you is, I don't know, because his surgery ended up being pretty easy, right? Even though it was like very intense. But, yeah. Anyways, so that was just a huge time of just questioning things. And that's really, I feel like, what drew us closer to the Lord, right? Because I think before all that time, I just felt like I had control over things. And then it's like just one thing after another was happening. And I was like, I don't have control. And I really just need you, Lord. So anyways, that was a really great time of just coming closer to the Lord and finding other people surrounding us that were also just offering that love and support through the love of Jesus. So anyways, so I would say that is really whenever we decided to really come to Southcrest, and then all that time we had CW2, and it was just kind of a whirlwind there for a little while. So, but once we got here, and I think anywhere we would have landed, church-wise, I love how Brother David always says, you don't have to come here,
Mm-hmm.
but try to choose somewhere, because I think because we went through all of that really without the community, especially that we have now. And even with having CW, we had more community at that time because we had been coming than we did during that really hard time. And so, I see people go through hard times now here at the church, and they're like, I don't know what I would have done without this community. And I was like, yeah, it's really hard. Yeah. Very lonely. So, anyways, so that was just kind of, I would say how we kind of came back, right?
Yeah.
So, and really, and by coming here and coming to Bible studies, I remember this particular Bible study saying really finding our identity in God, right? And how it's not our husband's, I think it was a lot about marriage. And so it was it's not our husband's job to make us happy and fill that empty cup or any of that. And I think that was a real eye opener for me, because I thought it was Charlie's job to meet every need I had and to make me happy and and do all this. And I don't know why I thought that for him, because I probably also wasn't doing that for him. The realization of, okay, well, my identity is actually in our Father and God. And so I need to do my job of building that relationship before this relationship is going to thrive. So it's just those little things, just by being involved and coming and showing up, even whenever you don't really feel like it, or if you're an introvert, like I am. Uh, I know people are like, "You're an introvert."
Good job.
I know. It's my job to not be an introvert, so I do my job, but then I go home very exhausted. So
to recharge.
yes, and I have to recharge. So, but really, and like the getting to go part is sometimes I have a battle with myself. Like, well, you could just stay at home. And you're like, no, you need to go. Go be around these women and build your relationship with God and with others. So
Yeah. When you had Kate, had you always thought that you would be kind of like stay at home part-time, things like that, or did you have like a shift from career to mom?
Yes.
Or
I did have a shift. I mean, I was working full-time at a bank, and whenever I had her, and I remember being at home like on maternity leave, and I was like, I can't go back. Like, I can't leave this baby. But I had to, because we couldn't afford for me not to. So we sent her to daycare, full-time daycare. And honestly, that was probably the best thing that happened at the time, because as I kind of mentioned earlier, I really didn't have a clue of how to be a mom. So they helped me, right? They helped me with like, okay, this is what you do.
Yeah.
And this is how you bring your
It's
kid
so
to
helpful.
daycare, right? And I was like, oh, okay, thank you. So anyways, I still worked for about 18 months. I believe it was 18 months, because I was already pregnant with CW whenever I quit at the bank. And then I stayed at home. So we had some amazing blessings come our way where I was able to stay at home. And I remember, because that was November, and like I stayed at home doing like no other work thing. And then like January, I was like, okay, I'm gonna be making some money somehow, because that's just like, I have a retail degree. So right, I'm like, I always like to like make money, and sell things and do whatever. And it's more of like for fun almost. I don't know. It's kind of weird. But anyway, so I started doing like, just like an MLM thing. I think it was 31 bags, which it wasn't necessarily a job, but it gave me something else to do.
Yeah.
Of having like a little bit more of a purpose. And also I got to have these parties and like be around women. So that's where I always find myself going back. I'm like, anytime to have like a lull, I'm like, I see myself seeking out those groups and that community and friendship. So I have such amazing friendships, and so I'm just thankful that that God gave me that want to be around other people. So even though it exhausts me sometimes, I'm thankful that there is that desire to be there. And then in 2017, Jerry Turney, who was here, she was leaving, and I was already at KDO, like on Tuesdays and Thursdays, working at the desk.
Okay.
And I was doing the Awana thing and the MOPS thing. And she was like, I think it was after the Awana Awards, because I just took the microphone and I like ran the little preschool award time. And we got done. She was like, Cara, you'd be a good preschool director. I was like, well, Jerry, I mean, don't ever leave, but like, that would be fun. So anyway, it was literally that summer that she was leaving. And so Danny approached me and asked if I'd want to do that. So that's whenever I was the preschool director. And it was just like, our whole setup was a little bit different then. So I was like full-time for like 4 years. But of course, so that's 2017. So of course we went through COVID, and that was a big time. And it's like, sometimes I feel like we've forgotten that we went through that because we don't talk about it. And I think maybe it's still there's still some things, I guess, that are controversial or whatever. But I'm like, we can't forget that we went through that time, because it is going to be a major historical event that happened, right? And we have to learn from whatever happened during that time. And so that was very interesting and challenging, leading other people and having a daycare, and then my kids are going to school, and I was like, what do we do? And CW was in kindergarten. His teacher was like, oh, just make sure y'all get on there like once a day. She was like, there's not much on there. Like, we don't know what we're doing either.
Yeah.
That's really when I was like, okay, nobody knows what we're doing. And of course, that I feel is what fueled the anxiety in people, of just the unknown, right? Because that's what like anxiety is like. for a lot of people, the fear of the unknown.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Honestly, for our family unit, it was like kind of a special time because we all just got to be at home every day
Mm-hmm.
together. And then my niece, who was in college, she came and stayed with us for a little bit because
Aw.
she was like, I'm kicked out. I can't
Yeah,
do
like, what am I
anything.
gonna do?
I was like, well, come here and hang out with us. It'll be fun. And I was like, I could probably use your help too. We just really, that gave us a time to really grow close. But as we were like re-entering the world afterwards is really where some anxiety stuff was coming out. So we've kind of realized like, yeah, we're good in our little bubble, but sometimes whenever we have to go back out, it's difficult. And, that was just for kids at that time, that I'll be interested to see what they have to say whenever they're older, whenever they're adults. Like, remembering that, like, what were you feeling? Because really at the time, I would try to check in with them and they were like, oh, we're fine. It's just like none of us had a choice. We just rolled with it. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, it'll just be interesting to see because we are also like now in KDO, we see effects of that because this last year, let's see, I guess our 4-year-olds right now, anyways, like the last few years, it was kids that were born during COVID or right after COVID. And of course, like parenting is also going to change because you have that fear of something like this happening or some horrible sickness coming in and affecting so many families. And so that just brings fear with it. And so whenever we parent out of fear, we're not really setting our kids up for success, right? Like we're probably, I don't want to say protecting them too much, but I've always said like I'm a helicopter mom. And so I really kind of have to step back and be like, okay, yes, you go jump off that thing and see what happens. And so, anyways, we don't want to parent out of fear because you want to raise kids who can think for themselves and be resilient and be able to handle these events because that's not the last event that's going to happen. Right. So, we lived, I was in college like during 9/11 and that was a big event, so this isn't the last thing that's going to happen. And in that, I'm always like, okay, well, like God's not surprised by any of this, right? Like he already knows. And so what we do is we go to him and be like, okay, like, what's my next step? Where should I go? What should I do? And really just try to be open to what he is telling us to do, which it's not always easy, right? And I'm always kind of like, well, I'm not sure if this is right, but I just think in your prayer life and in your quiet time with him is like just really where those answers come from. So yeah, sorry, I got stuck on COVID and all that.
No, you're good.
But yeah,
Millie was 4 months when COVID happened.
Okay.
And so I was talking to Faith a little bit before this because we were talking about like how I knew you and those things and thinking like, okay, like she started at KDO and then KDO kind of shut down because the world shut down. And I was like, okay, just kidding. And then trying to like do the thing at home with her and then like, okay, what do I need to be hyper aware of and so then like when the world started opening up, I wasn't sure what was normal and what was just like protocols from COVID. And just like kind of weird things of like figuring it all out. And then, it was just crazy times. You're just trying to figure it out. And then you're like, I don't actually know what's going on. But I don't think anybody else does either, apparently. So we're good.
Right. At least we were all unified in that.
Yeah. Yeah. I was like, I don't know, man.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
But so you eventually did step down from preschool.
Yes. So I will say, kind of because of COVID and going back into the world, our kids were not exactly excelling at school and maybe even in life. I don't want to say that. Mostly at school is where we noticed it. So Charlie and I had a talk, and I was like, I think I've got to step back. Of course, being in ministry, it really just takes a lot. It's very, you're taking care of everybody else and sometimes your own kids suffer from that. And so some people can do all of that really well. And I kind of found that I was not one of them. So I did a step down. It became, I saw the opportunity because Kelly was going to be the preteen minister and she was my other KDO director at the time. So I was like, well, what if I just do that? Because I really enjoy KDO. And I was like, I probably devote most of my time to that anyway. I think just because that's really where I enjoyed my job. So yeah, that's when I stepped down and became that. And so since then, I've just been part time. And I just do like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So yeah. And then a few years ago, I was like, well, I want to do something else. So I'll teach this 5:15 a.m. workout class.
5:15 a.m.
So, but again,
there for a minute.
right? Yeah, 4:45 comes very early in the morning.
Oh,
so I was already going to that class, but and our teacher retired. So I was like, well, I'll do it. But I had kind of stepped back from that because I think when I went part-time, just life changed. And that's, it's every time I was staying at home and then went to work full-time and then went part-time, like it affects your entire life. And you don't really think about that whenever you're just focused on job, right? And then it's like, oh yeah, I've got to, like, I don't know, I've got to plan better or I've got to prepare better.
Yeah, things just change.
Yeah. And I'll say every stage was hard, right? Being the stay-at-home mom was hard. Working was hard. Working part-time is hard. Although I will say this is probably my favorite part is the part-time. But there could also be a time where I'm not. I mean, there could also be like where financially we can't do that. So I'm always prepared to go back full-time. And now that the kids are older, actually, I won't say it's easier because they are so busy. I'm a driver.
Nervous about that part of life.
Yeah. And we don't have any family here. And so it's just us. So we're just kind of doing it all, which we have amazing friends that help us at a lot. So yeah, none of it's easy, right? And so it's just it's always hard, but your heart changes. But it's also always very rewarding, because just to see them grow and really to start becoming the people that these kids are, like Kate and CW. CW is so funny. And it also, y'all, Wednesday night, it was his first night at preteen. And they met back up Wednesday night. And Andrew was like, yeah, y'all, we're going to talk about 3-in-1. Does anybody know what that means? CW's like, shampoo, conditioner, and body wash. I was
That's
like,
amazing.
Yes. Charlie's texting me. I'm with the students. Charlie's texting me what he just said. I was like, oh my goodness. I was like, well, it is on his bottle in the shower.
He sees it
so
every day.
I was like, he did make the connection there, but we could say he's in CW world because you really never know what's going to come out of his mouth. So,
I feel like sometimes kids like that are like the glue to the family to not be so stressed out.
Yeah.
When there's just someone that's like,
right.
It's all good.
Yeah. It's okay. We're just here living life.
Yeah. I will have to say that Kate was so sweet to Millie at preteen camp a couple years ago. Just picking her up and holding her and letting her play with them, and her friends. And it was just, she was very, very sweet and kind. Because, she was 4 at the time. So I realized, not the most fun type, for a preteen to be around. But she was just so sweet.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
Appreciated that.
Well, and Kate would have known, because she would come up here early with me. And because Millie used to be our only baby, at 8 o'clock. And I loved it because I was like, I'm just going to take Millie with me. And Kate, we brought this little teapot thing that Kate used to play with. And we brought it up here for Millie to play with. And Millie would play with this little Minnie Mouse teapot. Oh, so anyway, I was just scrolling through pictures and I saw a picture, I had a picture of Millie just sitting there because she looked all cute. It must have been around Christmas time. So anyways, I don't know. It's just a good memory to have. So
I love that. So your stage that you're in now, we talked about a little bit of just a little bit older kids entering in teenager land, and all of that, and just I feel like the more people that I've talked to that are entering in that older things, I think teenagers get a bad reputation of it's really hard and they're really mean and all these things, but so many parents that I've talked to that are entering it, they're like, it's so awesome.
Yeah,
just seeing them turn into the adults that they're going to be. You see glimpses of it. And so you're seeing, it's you're starting to see some of the fruit of all of the hard work that you did that was so unseen and thankless and, with little babies. And now you're starting to see that emerge in them.
Yeah.
Have you been seeing that? You talked about that a little bit of just seeing that start to come through.
Right. Yeah. Especially with Kate. she's just really come out lately. And there's a very big part that has led us to this point. She she kind of went through a very hard time. And I will say again, this is probably the hardest thing we've ever gone through. Try not to cry. I'm like, I just feel like I'm just crying this whole time.
It tends to happen on this podcast.
Right? I know. And I'm very like, I don't know, just like, it's like, I feel like I didn't cry for so long.
That's how.
Yeah. And now it's like, it's all coming out.
Yes.
Oh,
I feel like all the years have like come in,
Yes.
and now I just cried everything. Anyway.
right. Yeah. So I will say she was 10 and in fifth grade. And I asked her if I could share this story because it's her story. I don't know. She always was a little anxious, right, as a kid. She's that, she's a very typical, I would say, older sibling of type A, perfectionist, which I'm the youngest by a lot of years. So I'm like, what is this?
We are not the same.
Right. I was like, okay, well, yeah. And I've always been like, we're not the same person, but like, I don't know.
See
But I'm
little
like, I
bits.
see you.
Yeah.
She reminds me a lot of my older sister. Okay. So I'm like, Megan, what do I do? But anyway, so I will say she's always been a little anxious and just timid but also like not afraid to be her own person. She was always like the one that, I mean, I let her dress herself and she'd put on the funkiest outfits. She was so cute. She chopped her hair off. She wanted to chop her hair off whenever she was like in first grade, and she had a short haircut for 4 years.
Wow.
And it was so cute. Like there were teachers and kids at school like copying her haircut.
That's precious.
I know, it was so cute. Anyways,
Trendsetter.
I guess just really in my mind, I always was just like, okay, she is confident and she does her own thing. And it's okay that she's quiet. You know, like I was a quiet child too. So I don't like to say shy, like they're observant and just taking it all in, right? So anyways, we reached fifth grade. She's 10. And Charlie and I go to a football game, and Kate's at a friend's house, and we get back, and they were like, so Kate had a little episode. And I was like, what happened? And they were like, well, she just all of a sudden like hit the ground and started screaming, saying she was dizzy, she was dizzy, she was dizzy. I was like, okay, well, that's weird. Anyways, and at that moment, I was like, I don't know. Like I knew something was going on with her. I just didn't know exactly what. So that was September of fifth grade. It took us until I think December to figure out what was going on with her, which were panic attacks. Like full on, like one teacher described it as like violent panic attacks. She is they would just come out of nowhere of what we knew. And it would hit her and that's I asked her one time, I was like, like, you know what's going on during it? She was like, well, no, but she feels like she feels like she's dying. That's, what people who have gone through panic attacks know, like how horrible they are. And here she is 10 years old having them without any knowledge of like
No
what
idea
this
what's
is.
going on.
Yeah. And we were like, I was like, I was trying to find like a medical reason of what's going on here, what's happening. So we went to a lot of doctors and finally, I think really just by talking to other people, and I really think it was by talking to other people, we were like, okay, these are panic attacks. I think Charlie, he worked with somebody who was in psychology. And so she kind of helped him come to that conclusion because I'll say, I love our medical people. We were friends with lots of them, but there were no answers.
Right.
And there wasn't really any hope to find the answer. So that was extremely difficult. But I think we got her into somebody like in the spring. And so she went on just like a very mild, like anti-anxiety medication. So I started keeping track of her panic attacks, and the longest she went without one was 11 days. So this wasn't just like every once in a while. It was
frequent.
Yes. And they happened at school. So then you have that other of like kids are seeing this happen and they're like, what is going on? Which I will say those kids were so sweet. A lot of them were.
Yeah.
Just like wanting to check on her and and really wanting to know what was wrong. But, unfortunately, we didn't have answers, and she was embarrassed to talk about it. She didn't want to talk about it because it scared her.
Yeah.
I mean, it was terrifying. And that's the other thing about panic attacks is once you have one, it's the fear of having another one will cause another one. And, it's just an unending thing. And so, unfortunately for her, hers were so physical that it scared other people. And it scared me. I remember the first time, because I wasn't even with her, like the first couple of times it happened. And one happened at home, and I thought she had like broken something, in her room.
Yeah.
And anyways, so all that to say, that went on with her going and seeing just a counselor and being on this medication for 2 years and still had them. Maybe not quite as frequent. Maybe it went from every 11 days. It was like every 30 days, so like once a month. So I will say like for 2 solid years, she was in panic attack mode, which affects your life dramatically. It affects your friendships and how you view the world. And I remember during one of them, she was like, I just don't want to die. And I was like, maybe you're not going to die, but I know you feel like that right now. So I think it was last August, she was going into 7th grade, and a bad one happened while we were on vacation. And we were with our in-laws, and our nephew had gone to this doctor for some other things, for some other issues, but it's neurofeedback therapy is what it's called. And so they happened to open a practice here in Lubbock, like last August, whenever all of this was, she was going into 7th grade. I was having to go to the school every single day, the first 2 weeks of school, because she wasn't having an attack, but she was having what I call now an anxiety attack versus a panic attack. It's a little different. We got in, literally, she went the very first day, had her first, they map your brain, she does her treatment, and I take her back to school. And I pick her up after school, and I'm like, how was your day? And she said, it was so great. She was like, is that all because I played Pac-Man? Because that was the treatment. Like you're doing Pac-Man basically with your mind. Anyways, I was like, yeah. So it was like to see something work like that was very eye-opening. Of course, this is the type of therapy so she had to go 3 days a week for about 4 months. So I would go pick her up every Monday, Wednesday, Friday during her athletic time, take her to the therapy, and then take her back and take her to her treatments. Of course, this is, in the medical field, it's not exactly, you have to drink the Kool-Aid a little bit, right? It's one of those.
Yeah. But, alternative things.
Yes, it's a little alternative. So, but what I told somebody is like, I was like, well, what I believe in is results. And what we're getting is results. And we had 0 results for 2 years. And now it's been a year and she's had 2. So that is amazing. And really, even the ones that she had weren't what we would call her super bad ones. Mm-hmm. So, and people have noticed she's just a different person. Like she is full of light and she's not like just fearful all the time. Even in the pictures, I will go back now and look at pictures of her during the time that she was really suffering through those, and she just looks sunken. So that really tested both of our faiths.
I'd imagine.
Very, she had already given her life to Jesus, and she was like, why is this happening? Like, I do not know, but I do know that we have to still rely on him to get us through this, because we obviously can't control this. And I was like, and whatever comes out of this, he's going to use you to further his name, right? And to draw people close to him. Yeah. So even whenever I talked to her the other night, I was like, hey, I'm doing this thing. And I was like, this is a pretty big part of our story for the last few years. She said, yes, you have, even talking to her about it, she's like, yes, you have permission, Mom. She's like being such a teenager. And I said, and one day, Kate, whenever you're ready, I was like, I think it would be good for you to talk about it, because there are people out there going through this same thing.
It just
Yeah, and maybe milder, maybe worse. And I was like, and this could help them. So we very much tell everybody about this neurofeedback therapy.
Yeah.
And we've had people here, even at church, who have taken their kids and it's helped them as well. So what's amazing about that company is that they are very Christian based and they pray over every single patient.
Wow.
And they're just an amazing place. And they saved her. So
Wow.
yeah, that. And then here's CW over here, just living life. Yeah. So, and now he's in this preteen stage. And so, and honestly, even this morning, I was like, you're being a little, I can tell you're a preteen now. Right?
We turned the corner.
Yes, they just get a little more sassy, I would say. And just, definitely like they are saying what they're feeling. And I want to encourage them to do that. But sometimes I'm like, okay, like I get it. Like you're upset that you didn't get to play on your iPad for this amount of time, but like you're gonna be fine.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit tough love too. I'm like, oh, you're fine.
I love it.
Right, just keep going. Oh, and I told them, I was like, you're gonna have to find something good. The first week of school, the first Friday, they were like, oh, we're so tired. I was like, y'all, the first week we got all year. Like, find something good, find something you like, and concentrate on that. So, because we all have to do things we don't like to do.
It's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough. It really is.
Yeah.
Man. Well, I thank you for coming on and being honest. There were a lot of vulnerable topics that you talked about. But I know, right, a church of this size, there are so many out there that are going to listen to this and really relate and feel seen and heard in that. So I thank you so much for that. Do you have any pieces of advice for the next generation that they don't know what's coming in their life? And if they are hitting any of these things that you've experienced, what would be your biggest pieces for them?
Right. I would definitely say like just being involved, creating that community for yourself and for your children is so important because whenever these hard things happen, they have people that are there for them and there to support them like through any hard times. And also the joyful times. I feel like I talked a lot about hard times. There's lots of joyful times too. And then really just with with parenting in general, I would say like I feel like something that has been very helpful for Kate and I, and this might be more like moms to daughters, just really like being real and being vulnerable to them. Because if you're real, then they'll be real. And so, and that's really, you want them to feel safe coming to you, especially during these teenage years, because of course we all know that's whenever like things can happen.
Yeah.
And so I definitely want her to be able to come to me instead of first going to friends, or even if she first goes to friends, eventually come to me, right?
Yeah.
And express anything that she's going through. So, and that's something I apologize daily to my kids because I mess up. And we talk a lot about like, okay, yeah, we messed up, but what can we do next to fix it? So like, how are we going to move forward? So that is really, I feel what has grown mine and Kate's relationship. And I feel like now is kind of CW and I are turning into that point. So we're coming into that. So I see some of those things starting to come out. But yeah, I will just say like, I've always kind of said like, Kate's my best friend. And I know you want to be like their mom and not their friend, but also I do also want her to feel like safe with me. Yeah. So it's not always, you got to do this, and this. So anyways, yeah.
No, I love it so much.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again.
Yes. Thanks for having me.
We'll see y'all next time.
Bye.